morning, friends. I am Sunil Desai and welcome to Galaxy Online Learning Division of Galaxy Tutorials. Okay. So, friends, today we are going to study 10th CBSE English, the chapter from your first flight textbook. Okay, the chapter number 6, the 100 Dresses, part 2. In the previous lecture, we had already studied part 1, and we saw how Wanda, the immigrant Polish girl who is studying in an American school, and who has been made fun of by other girls in the school, how she gets the first prize in the drawing competition. So now we are going to see what happens next. Okay, and I'm sure you must be eager to know about it. So I'm going to explain you the same chapter, part 2 of the chapter, the 100 Dresses. So now the teacher had already announced the winner, and she had asked the students to have a look at the beautiful dresses which Wanda had designed or which she had drawn. Okay, so the class was circling the room. The monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoughtfully for a while. Then she clapped her hands. Attention class, everyone back to their seat. When the shuffling of the feet had stopped and the room was still and quiet, Miss Mason said, "I have a letter from Wanda's father, that I want to read to you." So all the students were moving in a line, looking at the drawings which Wanda had made. Okay, and all of a sudden what happens was that the monitor from the principal's office brings a note to Miss Mason, the teacher. Miss Mason, the teacher, reads that note. Once, twice, she goes through that note again thoughtfully. And then what she does? She claps her hands. Why she claps? Because she wants to seek the attention of the students who are moving around in the class watching the pictures. Okay, she claps. So she claps her hands to seek the attention of the students and tell them to go back and sit in their seat. Okay, so everyone moves now, goes back to the seat, and when the shuffling of the shoes or feet is over, that means everyone has sat on the place properly and everyone is still quiet. Then she announces. What she announces is that she has received a letter from Wanda's father and she wants to read that letter to them. Miss Mason stood there a moment and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. Her manner indicated that what was coming, this letter from Wanda's father, was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely as Miss Mason read the brief note. Then Miss Mason stood up. Okay? She stood for a moment. Everywhere the atmosphere in the classroom was very tense and everyone was very much eager to hear what Wanda's father had listened. Miss Mason stands up. Then what she did? She adjusted her glasses and she waited for a moment that showed what the teacher, Miss Mason, is going to announce something very, very important. The way she had stood, the way she had adjusted the glasses, showed that something important is going to come out from her mouth. Okay? So everybody was very much eager to listen what the teacher was going to tell. And she starts reading the brief note. The note reads, "Dear teacher, my Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Jake also. Now we move away to big city. No more hollow polite. No more ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petronsky." The brief note simply read that Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Even her brother Jack is also not going to come to school. And they are moving to a big city. Why? Because the letter, in a very brief way, said that there is no one, because the way they were staying in a small town, so the people were teasing or making fun of Wanda because of her name, because of her ethnicity. Now, in a big city, there are so many people with so many different names. Now, there won't be anyone to make fun of my children, you mean to say. Okay? So, there are plenty of funny names. You all find my name, Wanda's name, Petronsky, is funny. So, now there will be so many funny names in the big city. No one has the time to see what name it is, whether it's funny or not. So, we are going, means in a short way, he had told that we are tired, my children are tired of your discrimination, the way you are discriminating them, you are making fun of them, and that's why we are shifting to another city. A deep silence met the reading of this letter. Miss Mason took off the glasses, blew on them, and wiped them on a soft white handkerchief. Then she put them on again and looked at the class. When she spoke, her voice was very low. Once she read the letter, there was total silence in the class because no one had expected with such a reaction. Okay, such a thing should happen. What Miss Mason does, she removes the glass, cleans them, blows on them, then she wipes the glasses. Again, she adjusts the glasses on her eyes, and then she starts speaking to the class in a very low voice. I am sure that none of the boys and girls in room 13 would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feelings because his or her name happened to be a long, unfamiliar one. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. I know that all of you feel the way I do, that this is very unfortunate thing to have happened. Unfortunate and sad both. And I want you all to think about it. Then the teacher says in a very low voice that I am sure that the boys and girls of this classroom were not intentionally making fun of Wanda. They were not purposely, they didn't want it to hurt her purposely. Okay? But somehow Wanda was hurt. Okay? All the fun which you were making was not intentional, it was out of thoughtlessness. You never thought that it will hurt someone. But you have seen the result of it. It's something very unfortunate has happened. And that too also again it is sad too. And I hope that henceforth you will keep it in mind that such an unfortunate and sad thing should not happen again. That's what she does. The first period was a study period. Mary tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on her work. She had a very sick feeling in the bottom of her stomach. True, she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Wanda how many dresses she had in her closet, but she had said nothing. She had stood by silently, and that was just as bad as what Peggy had done. Worse, she was a coward. At least Peggy had not considered they were being mean, but she, Mary, had thought they were doing wrong. She could put herself in Wanda's shoes. The period was a study period. That means the teacher was not going to teach them, they had to do self-study. But Mary could not concentrate on her studies. She was just thinking about the way they were treating Wanda. She knew that she didn't like the way Peggy was making fun of Wanda, but she never asked Peggy to stop it. Okay, so there was a sick feeling in her stomach. She was feeling very, very bad somewhere. Okay, so Peggy was not knowing that she was doing something bad. Okay, that Wanda must be feeling bad. She was doing this out of thoughtlessness. But Maddie was understanding it. Maddie was knowing that that was bad. But she didn't resist Peggy. So what they showed that she is a coward, and this is what Maggie didn't like. Okay, Peggy was not knowing that she's been mean, but Maddie was knowing that this is not good, that this is really bad thing to do, and still she was not resisting Peggy to do that thing. So that made Maggie felt very, very bad. So now she could put herself in Wanda's shoes. She too was poor, Maddie. So now she could understand what Wanda must be feeling when Peggy was making fun of her. Goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? If only she could tell Wanda she had not meant to hurt her feelings. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy. But Peggy did not look up. She seemed to be studying hard. Well, whether Peggy felt badly or not, Maddie, had to do something. She had to find Wanda Petronsky. Maybe she had not yet moved away. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her. And they would tell Wanda she had won the contest, that they thought she was smart and the 100 dresses were beautiful. Now, Maddie is just thinking, what can she do now? She is feeling very bad in her heart. Okay, so she wanted to go and tell Wanda that she didn't mean to hurt her feelings. So she glances at Peggy, but Peggy is busy with her studies. So Peggy is not thinking much about Wanda living there. But Maddie's heart somewhere, she's thinking is full of sorrow, full of sadness. And she wants to correct it. She wants to go and tell Wanda, she wants to meet Wanda. So she thinks that maybe Wanda must have not left. She's not coming to school, but she must have not left this house yet. They must have not left the city. So why can't I go along with Peggy and meet her and tell her that she has won the competition, okay, won the contest. And her dresses, she was very smart, and her dresses all the 100 dresses were really, really beautiful. When school was dismissed in the afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness, "Hey, let's go and see if that kid has left town or not." So Peggy had the same idea. Maddie glowed. Peggy was really alright. Peg was really alright. So when the school was over in the afternoon, Peggy in a very casual way said to Maggie, "Let's go and see whether that kid means Wanda is still there in the town or not." And when Peggy said that, Maddie felt very happy because she also wanted to go and meet Wanda and tell her and say sorry to her that they were not that bad. She wanted to say to it. So the two girls hurried out of the building, up the street towards Boggin Heights, the part of a town that wore such a forbidding air on this kind of a November afternoon, drizzly, damp and dismal. So the two girls hurriedly start moving towards Boggin Heights, okay, from school. They want to move to the part of the town which was had a different look, because that area where the low economic group, means not so affluent people used to stay in that area. Okay, it was drizzling also. It was a damn day, drizzling damn day. Well, at least said Peggy gruffly, I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. I never thought she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway. I thought she was too dumb, and gee, look how she can draw. Peggy says gruffly that I never called her a foreigner or I never made fun of her name. I thought that she was dumb, okay, and that's why I was making fun of her. And see, I thought she was dumb, but see how beautifully she has drawn those designs, those dresses. Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Wanda. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry, they had picked on her, and how wonderful the whole school thought she was. And please, not to move away, and everybody would be nice. She and Peggy would fight anybody who was not nice. So, Maddie doesn't answer her. She's just thinking that they should be able to meet Wanda and tell her how beautifully she had won the contest, how the beautiful designs were also beautiful, and they didn't intended to make purposely they didn't intend to make fun of her. Okay? And how the whole school was thinking about her, how wonderful, and now henceforth they would be very nice and she should not leave them and go to some other city, and she and Peggy will fight with anyone else who would not be nice to her. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get to the top of the hill before dark. So it was quite a far place, so they were moving at a very brisk pace. Hurriedly they were moving because they didn't want it to reach that hill before they wanted to reach that hill before dark. I think that's where the Petronskis live, said Mary, pointing to a little white house. Wisps of old grass stuck up here and there along the pathway like thin kittens. The house and sparse little yard looked shabby but clean. It reminded Mary of Wanda's one dress, a faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. Then they come to the top of the hill, and Mary says that maybe this is where the Protestants must be living, because the house, it was a very clean house. Though it was shabby, it was very clean, and just the way it reminded her of Wanda's dress, which, though shabby, was always clean, though it was not iron. The same way the house looked clean, though there was some grass grown here and there, but it was very clean. But there was not sign of a life about the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She and Mary went around to the backyard and knocked there. Still there was no answer. But they saw that there was no life, means there was no one human being around. That's what they felt. So Peggy made a strong knock on the door, but there was no answer. So they moved around the house. They went to the backyard of the house. There also they knocked. They shouted for Wanda, but there was no answer. That showed that there was no one staying in that house right now. There was no doubt about it. The Petronskis were gone. How could they ever make amends? That clearly stated that there was no one around. They knocked, they moved around. That showed that the Petronskis, that is Wanda with the family, had left the place. And now, how can they make amends? That means, how can they now say sorry to her? They had come to say sorry to her. But now that she is gone, how can they say sorry to her? They turned slowly and made their way back down the hill. Now they were very disheartened. They turned back slowly, they started moving down the hill. Well, anyway, said Peggy, she's gone now. So what can we do? Besides, when I was asking her about all the dresses, she probably was getting good ideas for her drawings. She might not even have won the contest otherwise. Peggy says, well, what can we do now? She has gone. And anyway, when I was asking her about her dresses, she might be getting new ideas about new dresses. And that's why she could have won the contest. So, in fact, my asking her dresses have helped her to win the contest. Mary turned this idea carefully over in her head, for if there were anything in it, she would not have to feel so badly. But that night she could not get to sleep. She thought about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she had lived in. And she thought of the glowing picture those 100 dresses made, all lined up in the classroom. At last Mary sat up in bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought. This was the hardest thinking she had ever done. After a long time, she reached an important conclusion. She was never going to stand by and say nothing again. Okay, but Mary, when she went home, the whole night she could not sleep. She was just thinking about Wanda, her house, her family, those 100 beautiful dresses lined up in the class. She was just thinking about Wanda, what she must be feeling. Okay? She had never thought so hard any time in her life. So much hard she was thinking about Wanda. And lastly, she makes an important conclusion. What conclusion? That she was never going to stand by and say nothing again. That nothing again, she is not going to stand by someone like this and say anything against anyone. If she ever heard anybody picking on someone because they were funny looking or because they had strange names, she had speak up. Even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship. She had no way of making things right with Wanda. But from now on, she would never make anybody else that unhappy again. So, she has made a conclusion, Maddie, that from now on, she would not take up anything lying down. That means if someone is making fun of anyone's name because of anyone's name or making fun of anybody, even if it would have been Peggy, her closest friend, she would speak up against it. Now she won't take it lying down. Okay, but see, now she can't do anything for Wanda because she's not able to beat Wanda. But henceforth, she will always see that just making fun will not make anyone unhappy again. On Saturday, Mary spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Wanda Petronsky. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Wanda she had won. They told her how pretty her drawings were, and they asked her if she liked where she was living and if she liked her new teacher. They had meant to say they were sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter. The kind they would have written to any good friend, and they signed it with lots of X for love. They mailed the letter to Boggin Heights, writing please forward on the envelope. So on Saturday afternoon, what they did, both Meg and Maddie, they thought of writing a letter to Wanda, in which they mentioned how beautiful the dresses, her drawings were, and that everyone had liked it, and how she was living in the new city, and how her school was, how her teacher was in the new city. They in fact wanted to say sorry to her, but they didn't say sorry in that letter. They wrote her just a friendly letter, and they ended up with lots of love to Wanda. Okay, and they mailed that letter to Bogin site, and they were not knowing the new address, so they just wrote forward, please forward to wherever these people have gone. Okay. Days passed and there was no answer, but the letter did not come back, so maybe Wanda had received it. Perhaps she was so hurt and angry she was not going to answer. You could not blame her. Days passed, but there was no answer to the letter. But the letter had also not come back. That means it meant they thought that the letter she must have received, but she must have not answered her because she must have been very angry on them. And it was not her fault, Wanda's fault to get angry because they had behaved in a very rude way. They had made fun of her, which she had got hurt. Weeks went by and still Wanda did not answer. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Mary put herself to sleep at night, making speeches about Wanda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with how many dresses have you got. And before Wanda could press her lips together in a tight line, the way she did before answering, Mary would cry out, "Stop!" Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. So weeks went by, but they didn't reply. They didn't receive any answer from Wanda. Peggy slowly forgot all those business, but in Maddie's mind, the Wanda's thoughts always came. She could not get a good sleep. Every day at night before sleeping, she in fact used to make speeches. She used to think about Wanda, and she used to think how girls are teasing Wanda, are making fun of her, and how she is defending them. Defending Wanda by shouting at the girls who were making fun of her. Now it was Christmas time and there was snow on the ground. Christmas bells and a small tree decorated the classroom. On the last day of school before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. So days have passed by and now it's Christmas time. So the Christmas is coming near. So there was a Christmas tree made and bells were hanged in the corner of the classroom, and the holidays were going to start, the Christmas holidays. And just on the last day before the holidays were to start, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. I mean, just before the Christmas vacations, a letter had come. So, you remember Wanda Petronsky? The gifted little artist who won the drawing contest? Well, she has written me, and I am glad to know where she lives. Because now I can send her the medal. I want to read the letter to you. The class sat up with sudden interest and listened intently. The teacher tells the class, "Today morning I have received a letter. From whom you know?" She asked them whether you still remember Wanda Petronsky, the gifted little artist. Means the little girl who has drawn some beautiful drawings of dresses. So today I have received a letter from that girl, has written a letter to me, and I am happy that I have received that letter because now I have the address of that little girl and I can send that medal which she has won to that girl. Okay, and I want to read this letter to you. The class suddenly sat up in interest and they were now eager to listen what Wanda has written. Okay, so the teacher starts reading. "Dear Miss Mason, how are you and room 13? Please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses because In my new house, I have 100 new ones, all lined up in my closet. I had like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with the red trimming, and a friend Maddie to have the blue one. For Christmas, I miss that school, and my new teacher does not equalize with you. Merry Christmas to you and everybody. Yours truly, Wanda Petronsky. So, the teacher reads the letter to the students. The letter reads that, Dear Miss Madison, she is asking how are you and how are the students of the classroom 13. She tells that the girls in the classroom can keep those drawings of all 100 dresses. And she especially mentions Peggy and Maddie. She tells that let Peggy keep the green dress, the drawing of the green dress, and let Maddie keep the blue one. Okay? Because I have drawn another new 100 new dresses. I have drawn and I have kept it in my new closet, in the new city, in the new house. Okay, so the girls can keep those 100 which I have drawn. I have drawn some new ones, 100 ones. Okay, for I am just missing the school. For Christmas I will be missing the school and as well as you. She's telling Miss Mason, because the new teacher in this new school is not as good as you. So, Merry Christmas to you and everybody. So, she's wishing everyone along with the teacher a Merry Christmas. On the way home from school, Mary and Peggy held their drawings very carefully. All the houses had wreaths and holly in the windows. Outside the grocery store, hundreds of Christmas trees were stacked, and in the window, candy, peppermint sticks, and cornucopias of shiny transparent paper were stuck. The air smelled like Christmas, and light shining everywhere reflected different colors on the snow. So after the school was dismissed, Mary and Peggy were carrying those drawings very carefully. All the houses had wreaths and holly on the windows. Everywhere there was atmosphere of Christmas. Everywhere. Okay, cornucopias means decorative containers. Okay, usually full of flowers, fruits, decorative containers. You give those containers to your friends, your family. Okay, so everywhere there were cornucopias, then candy peppermint sticks. Okay, so everywhere the atmosphere was of Christmas. Boy, said Peggy, this shows she really likes us. It shows she got a letter, and this is a way of saying that everything's all right. And that's that. Peggy said, boy, she's exclaiming, boy, she has written that letter. That means she has received a letter and she likes us. That's why she has made a mention of us both. Okay? And she wants to tell through this letter that everything is okay with her. And that's that. But Maddie says, rather sadly, I hope so. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped political again and could not ever really make things right between them. But Maddie feels very sad. She feels that, okay, now she won't be able to meet Wanda again and she won't say sorry to her. Okay? She really, from the deep depth of heart, she wanted to say sorry to Wanda. But now, Maddie feels now she won't be able to say sorry anytime in life. She went home and she pinned her drawing over a torn place in the pink flower wallpaper in the bedroom. The shabby room came alive from the brilliancy of the colors. Mary sat down on a bed and looked at the drawing. She had stood by and said nothing, but Wanda had been nice to her anyway. So, after she goes home, what she does? She pins up that drawing which Wanda has gifted her on the flowery pink wallpaper of her room, which was, the room is shabby, but now when she pins up the drawing, the room starts looking very bright with the colors. Okay? So Mary sits on the bed and looks at the drawing, and she starts thinking that Wanda has been nice to her. Even though Peggy was making fun to her and Mary was just said nothing at the time. But still then, Mary didn't resist to Peggy, but still then, Wanda has been nice to her. Tears blurred her eyes, and she gazed for a long time at the picture. Then hastily she rubbed her eyes and studied it intently. The colors in the dress were so vivid that she had scarcely noticed the face and head of the drawing. But it looked like her. Mary, it really looked like her own mouth. Why, it really looked like her own self. Wanda had really drawn this for her. Excitedly, she ran over to Peggy. Now, she was watching that drawing, and she was crying, in fact. She was crying, and she was gazing at the drawing for a long, long time. Then she rubbed her eyes, and she started studying the picture intently. And what she thought? She thought that in the burst of colors, in that bright dress, there was a head, and that head was resembling Mary. That means, in fact, Wanda had drawn that dress especially for Mary. Okay, and so she got so excited, and she ran excitedly to see how the picture of Peggy looked. Peg, she said, "Let me see your picture." "What's the matter?" asked Peggy, as they clattered up to her room where Wanda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. Maddie carefully raised it. So Maddie runs over to Peggy's place and she tells Peggy, "Let me see your picture." So Peggy doesn't understand why she's so much excited. So they run up to Peggy's room, and then the picture was lying on the bed with the face down. Okay, it is with the face down, it's lying on the bed. Maddie carefully raises it, and look, she drew you. "That's you!" she exclaimed. And the head and the face of this picture did look like Peggy. Okay, so then Maggie says, "See, she has drawn you in the picture." And when they just observed them very intently, they find, yes, it was Peggy. The head and the face just resembled Peggy. Means what Wanda had done was that Wanda had drawn this picture, this designs especially for Maddie and Peggy. "What did I say?" said Peggy. "She must have really liked us anyway." So she had drawn this specially for us. That means she really liked us? "Yes, she must have," agreed Maddie. And she blinked away the tears that came every time she thought of Wanda standing alone in that sunny spot in the schoolyard, looking stolidly over at a group of laughing girls after she had walked out. After she had said, "Sure, 100 of them all lined up." Maggie says yes, agrees that yes, she must be liking us. Okay, and they just imagine the picture of Wanda standing all alone in the sunny spot in the schoolyard. Okay, looking with a discreet face at the group of laughing girls. They recalled the picture of Wanda, okay, and the way she used to walk off, and she used to say stolidly that sure 100 of them, and they understood that yeah, she had those. Means she wanted to say that she had those 100, but that was in a form of design. Okay, so she really liked them. Okay, so that's all in this beautiful story, The 100 Dresses. See how innocent children are. Innocently, but sometimes what happens? Because of thoughtlessness, you hurt someone. So, always keep in mind when you speak to someone, see that you are not hurting anyone, because that hurt may remain in their life for throughout their life. Okay, so while speaking, always mind your words. Okay, that's what. Even that you are making fun of someone, see that you are not hurting someone. Don't make fun of someone, because you may find it very funny thing, but it may be a very, very troublesome thing, a very sad thing for someone in front. Okay? That's all in this chapter. But before leaving, once again, I would like to subscribe to those who have not yet subscribed. Subscribe to our channel, Galaxy Online Learning, and don't forget to hit the bell icons to get the notifications. Thank you.